Hey guys, welcome to Xbox On.
Now with Halo Wars 2 just around the corner, it got us thinking about other spin-off games that were made from the main franchise.
So here's 8 of our favourites. Far Cry 3, tropical islands, holidays gone wrong, and lots of mean bandits. A Far Cry 3 spin-off game can't be that different, can it?
Well, think again, because Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon is about as far removed from tropical islands and vacays as possible. For starters, it takes place in a dystopian 2007 where the world is suffering from the aftermath of a nuclear war. You control an American cybernetic super soldier named Sergeant Rex Power Colt as you travel to investigate a chap called Sloan who's gone rogue. Yep, starting to notice the glaring differences? Sloan wants to use the blood of blood dragons to turn humans into zombies. Oh, and there's also parallel dimensions and a robot hand, and are you getting what I mean now? Far Cry 3 in name, not Far Cry 3 in nature. In terms of gameplay, it uses the same engine and general mechanics, but in more of a streamlined approach. Instead of skill trees with different paths to take, there's a much more simplified leveling system which automatically unlocks benefits. Plus, crafting has been taken away completely. The concentration is firmly on doing some serious damage. You'll find yourself kitted with high-powered explosives, modded firearms, and big old knives to do some serious slicing and dicing. There's still an RPG element to it, however, with side quests, hidden collectibles, and rewards to sink your teeth into. The main draw of the game has to be the style though. It's a parody of 1980s action films with retro cutscenes, neon colours that will hurt your eyeballs, and a soundtrack to match. It's over the top, completely unique, and if you want to be transported back to 80s gaming along with dragons and parallel dimensions, then Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon hits that very niche spot.
Halo Wars 2 was the game that made us start thinking about video game spin-offs, so it kind of makes sense that we include the game that kicked the series off, Halo Wars 1. When Microsoft first announced they were making a real-time strategy game based on Halo, we thought they were a little bit mad. For one, how can it be a proper Halo game if you aren't stomping around in the boots of the Master Chief? And secondly, how were they going to make a real-time strategy game work on the Xbox controller? Because this is a genre that was made for mouse and keyboard. So it was a brilliant surprise when we sat down to play Halo Wars and found out that it worked amazingly well, as they had designed the game from the ground up to be played using an Xbox controller rather than a mouse and keyboard. So by creating quick and easy button prompts, it allowed us to control an entire army with a couple of button presses. Who doesn't love tapping LB to select every unit on screen and sending them after a single enemy? That grunt won't know what hit him. Even better, the game really captured the action of a massive Halo firefight, although from a different camera angle. You may not have your own boots on the ground, but you still get a kick from watching warthogs bounce over bumps or seeing platoons of Marines exchanging fire with the Covenant. It even introduced some amazing new ideas to the Halo universe, like the almighty Grizzly tank. Ordering 2 of these bad boys to chew through enemy ranks is stupidly fun. With Halo Wars 2 just around the corner, now's a great time to dip back into the original. Whether you play the Xbox One remaster or the 360 game on back compat, it's well worth a go.
Now, during the course of Alan Wake, poor old Alan had enough problems to deal with, and now he's only gone and got an American nightmare to get to grips with. Oh, Alan.
Whilst last time poor Alan had to deal with the disappearance of his wife, this time round Alan's found himself stuck in a Twilight Zone hell. Simply put, Alan is trying to chase down Mr. Snatch, who is Alan's evil doppelganger created by a dark force. Yep, spin-off games just tend to be really weird, don't they? It's all cool for Alan though, as he is the champion of light and has the ability to rewrite reality, which is pretty handy. Good for you, Alan. In true Twilight Zone style, the plot gets even weirder from then on out, so it's probably just one of those things you need to experience for yourself. In terms of combat, things are still pretty similar to the original. Alan has his trusty flashlight, which must be focused on enemies before you can fire at them. The use of flashlight definitely amps up the fear factor too. Any game that limits your visibility is instantly scary as far as I'm concerned. American Nightmare is however more battle focused, as you'll be able to get your hands on more ammo and more weapons, including a machine gun, a nail gun, and a crossbow. Yep, Alan just got dangerous. A nice inclusion is the arcade mode, where you're set up against waves of enemies. They'll get harder and harder as they go, with more arcade maps being unlocked with successful completion. Who said mere writers couldn't kick some serious butt?
When Telltale Games announced that they were making a story adventure based on Minecraft, we struggled to see how it would work, but the final game was a real pleasant surprise. Now, we'd hope you'd forgive us for scratching our heads about how this game might work, because when you think of Minecraft, you don't tend to think of the amazing story. You build, you smash, and well, you build some more. But instead of giving us a gritty origin story for Minecraft Steve, story mode instead focuses on a gang of friends and their loyal pig, as they set out to compete in Endercon. Now, the way that the game nods to real-world Minecraft conventions without leaving the universe of the game is really smart. The game is not only made for Minecraft fans, but it is about a group of Minecraft fans. When you get to the convention, for example, you have to decide between building a massive Enderman or a creeper, while other building teams create items recognizable from the main game. As this is a Telltale game, there are your usual moral dilemmas, but in the happy world of Minecraft, these are much gentler than those in The Walking Dead. At one point, you have to choose between saving your pet pig or saving your precious Endercon entry. Either way, no one is losing a limb. The game works really hard to deliver lots of Minecraft love. It's packed with references and in-jokes and allows us to enjoy slightly more cinematic combat than the main game does. It's also a massive 8 episodes long, so make yourself comfortable before diving in.
The zombies are coming. Forget about knives and guns and fire and crossbows. Forget about running. This time we fight with shrubbery.
Plants vs Zombies initially became a huge hit as a top-down tower defense game that took our mobiles by storm. Carefully planned plant growing was the key to fighting waves of the undead, and since then the series has continued to grow and evolve. Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare sees the series in a whole new light as a multiplayer third-person shooter. The game consists of different modes where the players can take control of both the plants and the zombies as you battle for the title as winner. They've really beefed out the game with plenty of different game modes to sink your leaves into. From co-op 4-player mode where you defend the plants from waves of zombies, from team deathmatches to boss modes to capture the flag to vanquish confirmed, which is basically kill confirmed from Call of Duty. Indeed, Garden Warfare is basically the more family-friendly and plant-based version of COD. It may not have such a cult following, and I'm not sure if Benny sunk half of his life into playing it, but it's worth noting that whilst it may be a little more light and fluffy than its war-ridden counterpart, it still possesses all the great qualities that a multiplayer shooter needs. Plus, zombies and plants, and zombies with afros. I mean, come on, that beats any bog standard soldier any day. The class system is pretty cool too. You'll have to complete unique challenges to progress so you can get your decaying zombie limbs all over new characters, weapon skins and clothing. And afros too, I guess. I personally feel this is a spin-off at its strongest, taking the original idea and crafting it into something so much better. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a date with a 70s disco zombie. Thank you very much.
When you think of Might and Magic, you probably think of nerdy, hardcore RPGs, but in 2011, a small indie studio took it in a completely new direction. The developers at Capybara Games threw out the traditional turn-based strategy of the Might and Magic series and turned the battlefield into more of a puzzle. The action may be a little hard to read, but I promise that it's really easy to pick up. Each army is made up of rows of coloured units. By shifting units between rows, you try to create lines of units the same colour. Create a vertical line and those heroes team up to attack the opposing side. Create a horizontal line and those units bunch together into a defensive wall. The aim is to balance attacking and defensive moves to slowly whittle down an enemy trying to do the same to you. But there is so much depth to the action. You can chain moves together by triggering them at the same time. You can earn extra moves by creating certain unit formations, and you can link attacks by lining them up on the battlefield. For a game you control with one analog stick and a button, it's amazing how much you can do with it. For an Xbox Live Arcade game, it's an absolute monster of a game too. With a 25-hour story campaign, 5 very different armies to master, and great online play, if you're looking for a strategy game quite unlike any other, this is one of the smartest games on Xbox. Even better, it's available on Xbox One back compat, so what are you waiting for?
Step aside Solid Snake and Big Boss, it's Raiden's time to shine. In true Zero to Hero fashion, the loser from Metal Gear Solid 2 has only gone and got himself the lead role as a total badass. Nicely done, Raiden.
Now, Metal Gear Rising is totally different to the Metal Gear Solid games in terms of gameplay. You play the part of Raiden, but now he's an incredibly cool looking cyborg with silver hair and laser eyes, so that's pretty neat. There's a brief link to the Metal Gear series. Rising takes place 4 years after Metal Gear Solid 4. The story is as typically deep and complicated as you'd expect from a game with Metal Gear in the title. Think along the lines of civil war, private military companies trying to cash in on everyone's misery, and good old cyborg Raiden in the middle of it all. One of my favourite bits in Metal Gear Solid 2 was when Raiden and Snake both got hold of a sword and sliced and diced their way through enemies. And Metal Gear Rising is based almost entirely on this style of combat. You'll be a mighty cyborg killing machine with your sword, whilst also combining sub-weapons to perform some killer combos and counterattacks. A pretty nifty part is Blade Mode, where you can dismember cyborgs in slow motion, because let's face it, everything's better in slow motion, and then steal parts stored in your enemy's body, which isn't at all weird and incredibly creepy. In terms of gameplay, it's a totally different style to canon Metal Gear games. Instead of perfectly timed stealth and shooting a sleeping dart in a guy's butt before shoving him in a locker, Metal Gear Rising is more about frantic slashing and head-spinning combos. As the game is developed by Platinum Games, this style makes perfect sense. It may not be my favourite Solid Snake and his gruff and stealthy adventures, but as far as cyborgs with glowing eyes goes, it's pretty damn awesome.
Of course, if we're talking about amazing spin-offs, there can only be one true king. Not content with just making one of the best first-person shooters of all time in Half-Life 2, Valve also made one of the best puzzle games ever in Portal. Although it was included in the orange box, it might be at first hard to see the connection to the Half-Life universe. You wake up in a strange test facility with an even stranger robotic voice forcing you to take part in physics experiments in order to win some cake. As the game goes on, the link to the Half-Life game slowly emerges. You are working for Aperture Science, a rival research company to Half-Life's Black Mesa organization. Aperture's big scientific breakthrough is the Portal gun, allowing you to place gateways on solid surfaces and pass between them. Not only does it allow you to check out your own ass, but the device allows you to solve seemingly impossible test chambers. These are some of the smartest puzzles we've ever seen in a game, as you learn to turn entire rooms on their head or to use the momentum of a fool to fire you out of another portal like a bullet. You could also have just as much fun ignoring the puzzles and just messing about with the Portal gun. It's only a short game and can be beaten in 3 or 4 hours, but it manages to pack more thrills into that time than most games manage in 20. Oh, and make sure you stick around for the credits and the greatest song in video game history. It truly is the king of spin-offs. So there we have it, guys, just some of the awesome spin-offs available on Xbox. Let us know in the comments what your favorites are and if we've missed any out. Also, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future content.
And don't forget to smash that like button if you enjoyed this video and check out another one of our list shows whilst you're at it. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.